superstar that ain't made an art of the man. The new knowledge of power. My boy prayer. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroying lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. I found the truth and I'm not letting go. Frederick Douglass and Booker T found power. Nat Turner found truth in his darkest hour. Mama Harriet set us free and stood for we. In these pages I found power in our history. UEP birthed the panther in me. In me, never let a fascist pig carry me, not me. Revolutionary thoughts, all I read. Normal for my soul, keep my spirit on high. Revolutionary thought is always on the rise. Yeah, it's always on the rise. Love. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us, our problems was them. Them being the ones who robbed and took us, kings and queens, nation builders. From stolen legacy to Anthony Browder, building institutions with black knowledge. Build black libraries for black scholars, building black minds, urban philosophy, urban black reads every one place. Black owned bookstores, we support your space. To all black authors, we give much thanks. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Ooh. Knowledge is power, our power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge.
Peace and power, family. Look, man, when Baba Adisa sent me that track, I was blown away. Matter of fact, that's like my song when I'm at the track. I pop that in and I'm running like I read book after book. Running, it gets me up. It gets me up the hill, family. It gets me up the hill. But that's Baba Adisa. And a few of you have been reaching out to me, Doc. What's up with this brother? When is he going to drop an album? And so, look, family, he's in the building tonight. And I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna say, Baba, what's up with the music? But in addition to the music, family, this brother does a lot for the community. He has a couple of books out that I have right here that you all need to get, man. I got them right here. All right. Battle Surgery, the Black Male's Transformation Towards Manhood. I think this is mandatory reading for any black man, okay? Any young black man. This should be mandatory reading. He has The Juggernaut in the Struggle right here. So the brother is an author. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a community activist. So he does much more than the music. But we're going to talk about that tonight, family. But before we do, I just want to present some programs, some youth empowerment programs to you. All right. You're looking at the website of Conscious Ingenuity Institute, family. So look, I'm going to drop the link to this website in the chat. All right, make sure that you come over here and that you explore these youth empowerment programs and take advantage of these youth empowerment programs. Ashe. First up is Conscious Ingenuity. This is an African-centered STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, agriculture, and mathematics program where we use these fields to build character, confidence, and capabilities, man. Right now, we're in several schools in Baltimore City. We're also in Harford County. Right now, we're operating 2 summer camps in 2 Baltimore City schools. Shout out to my instructors. I'm thinking about you, Brother Marcus. I'm thinking about you, Brother Elijah, right now. Got some young brothers that are in the field, boots on the ground, okay? Shout out to Baba Amin. Baba Amin, in partnership with Conscious Ingenuity, we created the virtual UACI STEM camp. Right now, we have about 40 some odd students from New York to California, okay, that are going through this camp. We just completed our first week, and we're starting week 2. And we're also going to have a closing ceremony for them this Friday. But look, man, these children are building circuits, they're coding, they're learning about artificial intelligence and machine learning. All right. And also cybersecurity. And these camps are free. I don't know if I said that. Conscious ingenuity, free. UACI STEM camp, free. All right. We send out laptops, we send out STEM kits, we send out everything your child needs in order to participate. That's if they don't have a laptop. We make sure we send them out. Shout out to PLM in partnership with me. We co-founded, shout out to Baba Imhotep. We co-founded the Asafo training camp and the Agoji training camp. Okay. These camps are free as well. These are in-person camps based in Baltimore. They start on July the 27th, so this month, family. And right now, we're actually running out of slots for the Agoji camp. I think we have like 6 slots left for the Agoji camp. So if you're interested in bringing your daughter to Baltimore, no matter where you are, you can come kick it in Baltimore, because we have kids from Georgia, North Carolina, New York, D.C., New Jersey. They come to these camps. The parents pull up, they get a Airbnb, and they come kick it with us for 1 week. But if you're interested, make sure that you head on over to Conscious Ingenuity Institute.org. Not Conscious Ingenuity Institute. It's consciousingenuity.org. Let me put that on the screen so I can remind myself. It's consciousingenuity.org. Head on over there, family, and make sure that you take advantage of these programs, man. We got to make sure, man, that we take advantage of these solutions, these initiatives. A lot of times we sit around, family, and we complain about the problems in our community, but then when brothers and sisters create solutions, we don't support the daggone solutions. So let's make sure, family, that we begin to support and take advantage of the solutions that are available to us. And so anyway, I see the Maadian family is in the building. Peace and love to you, extra money. I see you, School of Urban Philosophy, Baba Imhotep Fatiyu. Man, it's a pleasure instructing your sons in Yame and Mujasi. They're like the stars of the camp, man. You and Mama Ife are doing a wonderful job. And in the village, not just the two of you, it's an entire village. You all are doing a wonderful job not raising, but rearing your sons, man. Love it, love it, love it. A BB Fahodie to you. I see Shanelia. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Shanelia, peace and love to you, queen. I see you. I see Sister Tiffany, the great moderators in the building. She says peace, peace and love to you. I see, who's this right here? I see Pen Fatal. Sister, please, if I butchered it, don't look, forgive me. But she said, Hotep family, a BB Fahodie, queen of BB Fahodie to you, Hotep to you. I love to see the queens in the building. I do. The brothers always in the building. I love when the sisters come through. Peace and love to you, Tim Jones. He says, peace to the chat. Peace and love to you, man. I see Hotspot Casino. Peace and love to you, warrior. I see you. Donette, I see you, queen. She says, hello, Dr. Ma'at, Donette Mitchell. Peace and love to you, queen. I see Sister Marcia Pender in the building. She says, peace and love. Beautiful black people. Hey, queen, I'm looking forward to your son coming to Baltimore. I already I laid out my schedule to you. So let me know what dates work for you and your family, because I do want to come out. I want to be on campus when you all come and personally show you around the university. I see a Safo Fatiyu is in the building. So the Fatiyu family is in the building. Peace and love to you. Shanila said, I'm looking forward to this discussion. The attack on Black masculinity is a fact. She said, the feminization of this generation is appalling. Absolutely. Your average logical thinker said, my kid is in the camp and it's amazing what you are doing. Dr. Ma'at, thank you so much, your average logical thinker, for entrusting us, the team, with your child. And thank you so much for that powerful feedback. D, I see you. Peace and love to you. I see my E5 twins is in the building. A BB5 Hodier race first to you. D, what you say? Good evening. You said good evening, community. Peace and love to you. I see Nick Lee. Let's say Nick Lee Nova. She said, hey, King, hey, Queens, what's going on with you? Peace and love to you. The great Dr. Samuels is in the building. He says, peace, Dr. Ma'at and Black family. Family, do me a favor. Please, right now, thumb up this discussion. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. Also, share this discussion on your social media platforms. We want to each one teach one, and the way to do that in 2025 is just simply sharing it, right? So we want to each one teach one, okay? I see my IG family is watching. Peace and love to the IG family. IG family, do me a favor. I'm going to drop the link to the YouTube, okay, on the page, all right, in the chat. Make sure that you come on over here. I definitely want to show your comments, okay? I want to show your comments. So make sure that you head on over here, okay? I want to show your comments on the screen. The only way I can do that, IG family, is if you come over here to YouTube, all right? IG family, do me a favor. Also, share this discussion, inbox this to some folks, all right? Let's get some more people in these virtual seats. All right, so without further ado, family, I'm bringing up, man, a warrior. He's definitely an Asafo. He's also one of the facilitators or instructors, one of the Babas of the Asafo training camp. And like I said, he does so much for Baltimore City, the whole community, man. He's a warrior for our people. He loves our people. He's a father. He's a husband. He's an author. He's a Jegna. You know, I don't want to say mentor. Dr. Patricia Newton, she checked me on that term, mentor. She said, Dr. Bond, don't say mentor. Say Jegna. Okay, Dr. Patricia Newton, peace be upon her soul. But yeah, family. So I'm going to bring him on to talk about some things, man. The title, it says, is the attack on Black manhood fact or fiction? So we're going to unpack that along with a couple of other topics. All right. Peace and Black African. That's Baba Adisa. What's going on with you? How are you feeling?
Head high, chest out, always doing the work, always dedicated. You know, race first, a BB48.
A BB548 to you, warrior, man. I'm glad. Look, this is a long time coming. We've been trying to coordinate this. I think since your first book, you had dropped like a book. You like, Doc, I'm trying to hold out for you now. I'm getting all these invitations. I'm trying to hold out. Come on. And I'm like, all right, Baba, all right, Baba. And so I'm glad that we were able, to make it happen, because this was definitely long overdue. But before we jump into today's topic, backstage, you and I were talking about something, and I want to share that with the people. Because you said, Doc, how you been doing? And I said, I'm doing okay. And then you made the comment, and I want you to expound on what you said. We were talking. Well, go ahead. You expound on what you said. So you said, Doc, how you doing? And I answered you, but I want you to share with the people what you shared with me backstage.
Well, we got to understand that the work that we do is essential, but it also puts other people in the spotlight to what they may not be doing. And people don't process people that are genuinely about doing the work, because people measure themselves against each other, right?
Right.
And when you're doing the work, you're going to have hate. You're going to have people that's going to hate on you. They're going to try to find any fault in you, a chink in the armor, to try to tear you down, because for you to fall means they don't have to rise. And for you to continue to rise means that now they have no excuse or justification for where they at, and people hate because of that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, how dare you be living in your Black greatness while I sit on the sidelines and do nothing? That's a personal issue, So when you see, powerful women and powerful Black men doing this work, and they're doing it tirelessly and endlessly, and consistency, you gotta give them their flowers. You gotta recognize the importance of what they're doing, because as warriors, right, we fill everybody else's cup, but sometimes our cups don't get full.
Come on.
When we're depleted, right, that's when people want to pick you apart the most, right? So when you see a warrior that's doing the work, right, you gotta encourage them to grow, because they're geared towards developing society to be in the interest of all of us, right?
Yeah, facts.
But that's why I say, when you can't say that you're doing the work and you ain't got somebody, they got something to say.
And that's what you said to me.
Yeah,
you said that's what you said. That's what you said. And every time I talk to Baba Imhotep, he said, Doc, everybody ain't gonna like what you do. Everybody not gonna like what you say, but just keep on doing the work. He said that Baba Baruti says that. Just keep doing the work. Keep doing the work. And you said backstage, you said, look, if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing something right. If you ain't got some haters. And I said, daggone, Baba. I said, sometimes it's just disheartening when you go so hard for your people and you sacrifice so much for your people, and then they tear you down. They talk about you. They misrepresent your character, your intentions. They misrepresent who you are, what you're doing. And it's like, damn, I'm out here fighting. I'm out here sacrificing. And the very same people that I'm sacrificing are the ones that's tearing me down, And sometimes, Bob, it gets to me. I'm human. It gets to me sometimes. And I'm like, man, and I get a little frustrated, but give thanks to people like you, to people like Baba Imhotep, to the elders, people like Baba Baruti, Mama Ya Baruti, those folks who, like you say, they pour the cup. So when I start feeling like this and I reach out to certain people, they say they affirm what I'm doing. Just keep on doing the work. So I think I needed that message from you. I think I needed to hear that from you backstage. But Baba, look, in backstage, I also shared with you that I caught a lot of flack on July the 4th. I brought on Dr. Gerald Horn, and we talked about the true origins of the U.S. And so we talked about it. We talked about enslavement. We talked about the formation of this country and how the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776 had nothing to do with Black people or African people. When they said all men are created equal, we talked about how most of the signers were landowners, and they were I don't even want to call them slave masters, but captors. They owned, well, enslaved our ancestors. And so we talked about that. And so people got mad with me, and they were on Instagram, and I do have two comments I did want to address. It was one brother who said, Black Americans built this country and fought in every war. He said, this is our country, Dr. Ma'at. We have every right to celebrate. If you want to celebrate Nigerian Independence Day or something, he said, fine, but I'm celebrating the 4th. So he got mad with me, and I made it clear, Bob, that look, if you want to celebrate the 4th of July, that's your right. That's your prerogative. But for me, understanding who I am, who we are in our history in this country, I think it's a slap in the face to celebrate the 4th of July. You get what I'm saying? It's a slap in the face to our ancestors to celebrate the 4th of July. And so this person made that comment about us building this country, but I want to take some time to address him. And his name is, oh my goodness, the man 524 on Instagram. So I know there's some people on Instagram right now. You could tag him, the man 524. I want to say this. Yes, our ancestors did build this country without a doubt, but let's not forget that they built this country in captivity. They built this country in captivity. And then you say, this is our country. This is our country. We don't control the politics. We don't control the economics. We don't control the culture. Hell, Donald Trump is signing executive orders right now that we can't do a damn thing about. So I don't understand this idea when people say, this is our country, we built it. Yeah, we built it in captivity. And right now, the power, wealth, and resources are white controlled. So what are you saying? I don't understand that logic. Baba, help me out. What are your thoughts about that comment?
So you got to realize this, right? When a people have no foundation, right, they'll latch on whatever's around. So you're looking at someone who feels as though that if I let this go, what else do I have, right? Because of his understanding or what his understanding of African culture is or African history is, right? Anytime that we celebrate anything that's attached to somebody that oppressed us, enslaved us, right? We celebrate them too.
Come on, say that again, Bob.
And our culture belongs to us as a people, right? Their culture is their culture, right?
That's right.
We should not feel indifferent or feel any shame, right? To disassociate ourselves from their culture, because their culture liberates them. Our culture liberates us, right? When I hear somebody that speaks like that, it's somebody that doesn't fully understand the potential and the power of who we are as Black people, right? So me, I challenge the thought, right? What is that thought rooted in, right? Why are you so defensive towards, European culture and belief and way of life? It's because it's the thing that you know the most, right? I know more about African culture and African history than I do anything, because I started this journey at 18 years old when Bob Imhotep walked up to me and gave me the book, Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery.
One of my favorite books.
Yeah, I'm 42 years old now, right? So I can definitively, in my position, go against thoughts like that because I have no roots in it. I've already uprooted myself. When people are rooted in the American ideology, right, they're always going to come to the aid and defense of what they believe in. Fact. That's what you believe in. You believe in American ideology, right? But a part of that is the isolation and separation from who you are as a person. Because for you to do that means that you got to separate yourself from your own people for a false belief of acceptance from a people that will never accept you.
Baba. Goodness gracious, you killed that. And look, Baba, this is the second comment, and we'll jump into tonight's discussion. I'm gonna delete them now. I just wanted to It's a few comments. Hold on. This is the last one. So he said, it's another one. So this person, J_Inchez, said Trump just got a ceasefire in the Congo, welcomed African leaders from both. So he's caping for Trump. He said Trump just got a ceasefire in the Congo, welcomed African leaders from both nations into the White House when Biden wouldn't even talk to them on the phone. So now it's like, that's something. Trump invited African leaders to the White House. That was a big deal. So anyway, I guess he values that. But he says many slaves fought in the Civil War for their country, the USA. They fought for the only country they had, and they died hard for it, and still dying and sacrificing. So let me say something to you, J_Inchez. That's not a big deal that Trump invited some African leaders into the White House. I mean, who cares? Like that's not a big deal. I mean, to you, it's probably a big deal, but that's not a big deal. And then you're saying that our ancestors fought in the Civil War for their country, the USA. Our ancestors were fighting for their freedom.
Yes.
And give thanks to the work of Dr. Gerald Horne. Our ancestors overwhelmingly fought on the British side. They didn't fight for the Patriots. And the ones that did fight for the Patriots, a lot of their captors made them go fight. So let's not act like they were in the Civil War fighting for it wasn't our country. We were enslaved. We were in literally concentration camps. These plantations were concentration camps. So this wasn't our country. Our ancestors were fighting for their freedom. Baba Adisa, what are your thoughts on this? This is the last comment, and I'm gonna move on.
In the Juggernaut and Struggle, I address a lot of those things, right? There's a thing in the book I talk about is 50 Shades of Oppression, right? And then in the chapter 50 Shades of Oppression in the Juggernaut and the Struggle, I talk about the many different shades of oppression that our people have adopted as their own ideology and belief about life. It's like we've assimilated into this belief, right? I'm not saying don't recognize the sacrifices our ancestors made, right?
Right.
But do it without including the reason why we had to make the sacrifices.
Right.
You include them into too many of our conversations, and that gives them power. It gives them reason, and it puts us in a position to this inferior superior relationship that is going on, right? In anything, right? And you can quote me on this. If you look at history, right? Mm-hmm. Anytime that anybody, that looked like them did anything for us was always in a position to put them in a greater position. It was never to battle, to bring balance or stability. It was about being able to put themselves in a greater position for survival purposes.
Facts.
The problem is we don't put ourselves in a better position for us. We put ourselves in a better position to advance them to get the little tokens that are given, right? Go back in history, right? In the Juggernaut Struggle, I talk about it. If you go back to Emancipation Proclamation, right? They only did that to bring about the industrialization. That's it. They didn't do it to free our people, but they used our people, right, to get what they wanted. With the belief that we would be free, only to be what? Set out there, no education, no job opportunities, right? With white people in hood chasing us down. Anytime we try to organize and come together, we couldn't. Because in the daytime, we couldn't do it because it was against the law. At night, when we tried to sneak and do it, we had to worry about hooded men coming to get us. So when we look at history, right, it's a revolving process, right? We go to what? Civil rights. They only gave in to civil rights because there was too many revolutionary organizations that were brewing to fight against the injustice that were placed on our people.
Facts.
So they gave in to civil rights so we could integrate into their system to advance their system, but still put us in a position to what? To be what? Police brutality, shot them in the streets. To not have, certain freedoms and certain things, and for our people to still be hung in certain states. So when we looking at what are we doing? And the thing about it, you did the 4th of July thing, but I put out a song the same day talking about the same thing, the 4th of July. Basically saying, that you've been lying to us the whole time and we keep believing it. And we're going to celebrate this? Why are we having cookouts? What are we celebrating? Juneteenth wasn't our independence. Juneteenth was the recognition that we still are fighting for our independence.
That's right.
We were still fighting for a before Hodier, because we won't have independence until we have our own nation.
That's right. That's right.
You know? So if you're sitting here trying to be a part of a nation that's run by people that don't respect you, that only use you, exploit you, and then throw you away. And I'm not saying don't take my words for it. Study history. Study every great movement that ever came up, and what did they do? They don't want us to be free, because to be free is to put ourselves back in a position of power that they fear.
Facts, Baba. Facts on top of facts. And Baba, going back to Juneteenth, that's why I can't stand when I see folks walking around with the shirts that say Happy Juneteenth, and then it says Freedom Day, and I'm sitting there like, golly, Freedom Day, or some people say free-ish. I can't stand seeing that type of stuff, and I'm like, if only our people.
Yearly reminder. That's all it is. Yearly reminder that we still got work to do.
That's
we
right.
Still got a lot to build, because we do not have our own. Let's check this out. This is what we're going to do, right? Anybody that's on here right now, when you get pulled over by the police, how do you feel?
Nervous. Everybody nervous.
That lets you know, that that's not freedom. You don't feel safe around the people that are supposed to bring about safety and correction. You don't feel safe around them. So we got to look at that. That's something that's affecting us as a people, that we don't feel safe in the society that we live in, right? We have these little small windows where we allow ourselves to be rocked to sleep, right? By social media, right? By all these little things that we do to try to run away from the reality and the responsibility that we got to continue to keep fighting for our own nation. It's a BB-48 every day, all day. It has to be.
That's right. Every day, all day. And Baba, tell them what a BB-48 mean. There may be some people on here saying, what are they saying? They keep saying a BB-48. What are they talking about?
So we fighting for our own nation, to have our own sovereignty. You know, we got to realize that as a people, right? I mean, what is the goal? What is the real goal that we really have? Is the goal, for us to pretend like we're free because they allow us to have certain monetary trinkets? Or is the goal to be able to say that I know that my child goes to a school where he or she is sure and confident about who they are and they love who they are, and not being attacked and feeling less than?
That's right. That's right. Ashe, Baba. Ashe. And so, Baba, look, I know I said we could jump into tonight's topic, which is, is the attack on Black manhood fact or fiction, right? Because some people be like, it's a conspiracy when y'all start talking about the effeminization of Black men or the masculization of Black women. All that stuff it's a conspiracy, y'all. That's not what's going on. That's not what's going on, man. Baba, they dropped a song called Boots on the Ground. Where them fans at? Baba, I was sitting there, man. The guys were knocking the women off. Pushing the women out the way to get out there with the fan and throwing. I don't know if you've seen the dance, Baba, but they was out there popping. And then I seen the videos go viral on TikTok, and I said, oh my gosh. So I put up a post and I said, golly, that song got the guys booty popping and throwing fans harder than the females. And people got mad with me, Baba Adisa. They said, well, if they want a booty pop, that's their business. Who are you to say they can't? I said, oh Lord, how far have we come, Baba? Like, you get what I'm saying? How far have we come from? Because I grew up in the 90s, right? I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 90s. And I was talking to my cousin about this a few months ago. I'm not used to, I guess, the new masculinity. I'm not used to it, because the men that I grew up, the males that I grew up, they didn't carry themselves like that. But I'm seeing, Baba, as time go on, it's like the lines are very blurred right now, in terms of dress, how we present. Things are very fluid. And I remember Dr. Wesley Muhammad came on this platform a while ago, and he said within the next decade, you won't be able to tell one gender from the next. Based on how the direction that we're going into, Baba. Baba, what's your thought about that? Do you see this happening, or do you feel like it's in our heads? Like, what are your thoughts about this, Baba Adisa?
So I'm gonna say this. There's a saying, look towards the state of the men in a nation, and it will let you know of the security and protection of that nation. Right? So when we have men that don't have, you know, a high level of masculinity, and I'm not talking about, I mean, you know, being aggressive. No. I'm talking about that are assertive enough to be able to live in their principles no matter where they go. And when we look at our society, I and think about it, I'm gonna give a little background to myself, right?
Okay.
So most people think, I mean, that, you know, like I come on, I do my little lives and I do a lot of positive stuff, but I've been doing this work since I was 18 with the assistance of authentic African men. Right? And the work that I do in society, I get the worst. Like I get the recovering addicts. I get the people that come straight home from prison, right? I get the gang members. I had a meeting about a week ago with a father that is in law enforcement and a son that's a gang member. And I'm mediating them because the father hasn't talked to his son in a couple of years. I sat down with these young men and I'm talking to them, right? And while I'm talking to them, I see all this armor just dropping it and falling off, right? And then they started opening up and started talking about some vulnerable stuff, right? And breaking down. At the end of the meeting, that father and son hugged and talked and had a laugh and had an interaction, right? It takes men to build bridges. It takes men to mend disruptions and things of that nature, right? And it takes men that don't fear the people to be able to do that, right? It takes strong men to make women feel okay with being feminine.
Come on, that part.
Because we have so many males that are been effeminized that the women have taken on a lot of the aggression or a lot of the assertion, I mean, that the men are supposed to be taken up. And it's because they're trying to balance the energy in their lives, especially when you got boys, you know, and it's a lot of women come to me and because I do mentoring groups throughout the week and they'll bring their sons and I'm looking at them and I tell the mom, I say, Mom, he got to come on his own. And she like, what do you mean? I said, you can't bring him all the time. You got to allow him to make the choices, right? But he don't have no man in his life, you know? So he just falls in line, but he's still the same one that disrespects her, that comes out his mouth sideways because he's still a male.
Right.
But you need a man to be able to help him hone his energy so that he can grow to be a powerful man. You cannot produce powerful men from weak men. You can't. It's impossible, you know? You look at somebody like Baba Adisa, you know, and then you say, I mean, that Baba Adisa was around Baba Imhotep, you know? You're not going to see somebody that's soft or timid. You're going to see somebody, I mean, that's direct, that's forward, that's assertive. My name means one who makes his meaning clear, right? In any environment I step into, I set the tone and I set the standard because it has to be, right? And I've seen women that other people are like, man, she's too aggressive. And I interact with them, they calm down.
Yes.
Last week, right? The other day. So at my job, they got CNA, GNA. They got 25 girls, ages 18 to 23, right? Off the chain. Right? They asked me, can you go in and do this professional conduct class with them? Because I already do the professional conduct class with the men. Because they running over top of the women that are running it because they are intimidated. You feel what I'm saying? Like if you step into a jungle and you're afraid of what's in the landscape, it's going to consume you.
That's right.
So I stepped into the room, you can hear a pin drop. These young girls leaning in, asking all these questions. I'm breaking us because vulnerability opens up the doors for people to want to be vulnerable because it's a superpower, right? So when we look at society, right, there's not enough people that are secure in who they are to help other people be able to grow. See, we mirror what we see.
That's right.
Right? So if the environment is they're timid and they're scared or they don't know what's coming, those children, right, are going to run over top of those so-called adults because in their mind is like, I can get away with it. I can do what I want. It's the same thing in the household, you know, when the child tries to run over the mother and the father's baritone, oh, what you doing? And they get in line. And it's like, it's an alliance. You can't break this alliance. We need men and women to be able to come together to create those alliances, to be able to help our future generation to be able to understand what authentic men and women are. Right? Right now, you look out there, how can a young man respect the man he's looking at? I mean, they want to wear skinny jeans and he want to be out there twerking or dancing or doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
And they're not going to respect him.
Every time that he's held with accountability, he suck his teeth and roll his eyes and get upset. It doesn't speak to the quality that we're looking for. When we become better, the generation that's coming after us, I mean, have a chance to be better, because bad brings about worse. You know, I got locked up when I was 17 years old. You know, I grew up in prison. Like, I came home when I was 35. The years I spent in prison, I was working on myself. I'm studying John Henrik Clark. I'm studying Shaka Zulu. I'm studying Malcolm X. I'm studying Patrice Lumumba, Amilcar Cabral. I'm studying Marcus Garvey. I'm studying all of these different, Huey P. Newton, George Jackson. I'm studying all of these men. And the underlying thing that I seen was, it was strength, it was integrity, and it was consistency that they had. And that gave them that edge. You know what I'm saying? And Bob Imhotep didn't close us off from, you know, from other male images. He was like, here, read this book, read that book. So we were able to see a clear picture about what it is. This is what it is to be men. And we got to be careful, because they're banning a lot of books.
Yes, they are.
They're geared towards teaching our children about our way. And Black men only become powerful, right, when they are studying from the reservoir of the roots of what they come from. You cannot be powerful studying from a European textbook, because we come second to them in their fields when we are always first in our fields.
Absolutely, Baba. Absolutely. That was powerful. You said strength. What was the second one? I heard strength, consistency, and there was one more that you mentioned.
Yeah, strength, consistency, integrity.
Integrity.
You also got to add discipline.
And discipline to it. And discipline.
You know,
absolutely.
It gives you that.
And I love, Baba, how you said earlier, you said when you talk about masculinity, you're not talking about aggression. You said it's being assertive. You said to stand on your values and your principles, no matter where you are. That was powerful. Sister Shanila said, she said, not only that, but these young men can't handle their emotions. And I kept her comment up because she's 1,000% correct. I'm seeing, and I do a lot of these overly emotional males, to the point where she says this right here. She said all these deaths of young men killing each other, she said, in their partners, or we'll say unaliving. I'm sorry, because I forgot YouTube will block you if they hear you say that. So these men are unaliving themselves and their partners. We're seeing a lot of that now. Someone, you know, break up with the guy and he'll go and he'll unalive himself, or he'll unalive the person and then unalive himself. So it'll be like they say a murder, you know, unaliving. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to code it up because I know how they take the stream down and all that other stuff. But Baba, we're seeing that a lot of the overly emotional males. What do you contribute that to?
So it contributes to not being able to see, we learn from what we see the most, right? So children, they are very observant. They come into this world not understanding this, not understanding that, and they watch and pay attention. So if they see a household where you have a man and you have a woman that are together, how they interact and deal with each other creates the parameters to their understanding of social living, right? And we don't see enough examples of people. Like, for example, I'm gonna talk about my baby girl. I love her. I don't know if she's watching now, right? But my baby girl's 14. But when she was about 10 or 11, I remember, like, because I was getting into the all vegan, real heavy, and I had oat milk. I had milk in the house, and she was like, why do we got almond milk? Why we can't drink regular milk? And I was like, because, I mean, it's from a cow. We're not doing that, right? So she looked at the refrigerator and said, well, we got ice cream in here. Ain't that made of milk? And I was like, you're right. In that moment, right, as a parent, I had an obligation to try to say, who do you think you're talking to? Or, you know what, you're right. Throw it out. We went to the store. We got some vegan ice cream, and that's what we did. By doing that, I taught her something. I taught her, that I could self-correct, but I also, could recognize certain things, and I didn't become a hypocrite in her eyes. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of children that grow up that can't articulate the word hypocrite, but they know what it feels like. Mm. They know what it feels like. They know that, that saying of do what I say and not what I do, right? In their mind, they don't respect you. And the more they grow, the more they don't respect you more and more and more, right? So emotionally, we become detached. You feel what I'm saying? We become separated. So in order to create stability, right, you need to be able to have a household where people are growing in love, dedication, but also correction and movement, right? But then your children have to be around things that facilitate that. Because we always say it's like, it's real nice to say it take a village to rear a child, right?
Right.
But do we understand, what it takes, right? Me and Bob Imhotep had talked about this one day, and we were talking, he was breaking down proximity, right? And it stuck with me so much that I had to put together a lesson on it, right? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about proximity. The reason why people struggle so much is because they don't create the proximity in order to grow. So the closer you are with somebody, right, the more is revealed about who you are, right? And the more is revealed about who you are, right, the more is exposed. So some of us, right, have things about us that need to be checked, corrected, and examined. So what we do is we stay away far enough so that we aren't, you feel what I'm saying, held accountable, to the standard we're supposed to be doing, right? But the closer you are, the more that's why in our culture, community lived amongst each other. We were so close knit that we can be able to see what was going on. So now we didn't have to deal with divorce or separation. These aren't words of African people. You feel what I'm saying? Because if they seen something, there was always an elder or somebody around to be able to address it, deal with it, so we can be able to grow. We've lost that because we're so separated. And the reason why we're separated physically, right, is because mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, right, we're not even on the same plane. We're separated. And in that separation is where the cracks of things to fall in, to fill those gaps. So what's filling those gaps, is white thought. What's filling those gaps, is their ideology, their culture, their way of life, right? We can never be European. It doesn't fit or mix right with us.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? The only reason they look sane is because they're trying to drive us crazy. So when they look at us like, why do black people act like this? We act like this because we under attack. We are the most defensive people on the planet because we are the most attacked people on the planet.
Facts.
So when we look at young people, right, when they grow up in a household and you got a mother and father that are constantly beefing with each other, or the father's missing and the mother's there and she's distraught because she got to do everything on her own, right? That energy is pushed onto that child. That child internalizes that energy, right? And that child becomes exactly what they're receiving in that social environment. So when you look at a young boy that is struggling with his own identity, that's struggling with his own value, it's at the extent, of what's broken inside of the household. So now he goes into the community trying to figure out who he is, but he don't have a foundation to pull from. So he just adopts whatever he sees around him. So if the environment, are males that parade around, with money, with material things as being valued, that discredit, disrespect, and degrade women, right? And that is the socially acceptable thing, right? That child internalizes that's how you're supposed to move. And then you look at the music that is given. The music is projecting an image, they adopt to, because they're looking at them as the status that they want to be at. They're not studying, I guarantee you, they're not studying John Henry Clark. They're not studying Marcus Garvey. They're not studying men that fought for their people. They're studying Lil Baby. They're studying a Moneybag Yo. They're studying these people. These are the people that they idolize.
That's right. They do.
I sat down with a young brother and I asked him, I said, he's a part of the community, right? And he was telling me about NBA young boy or whatever. And I said, oh, you like him a lot, don't you? Like, yeah. I said, what you? And he started naming all the stuff about him, right? I said, can you tell me three things about Bob Imhotep that you know? And he sat there and struggled. So I asked him, let me ask you a question. Has NBA Youngboy been more impactful in your life, or has Baba Imhotep? And he was like, Baba Imhotep. I said, well, why is this guy getting all the time and attention?
That part.
Why is this person getting all this attention?
That part,
right?
Baba.
I said, when he hasn't impacted your life at all, I said, you got people around you right now that are living legends. You know what I'm saying? That you don't recognize.
We talk about it all the time, Baba.
You don't recognize, right? Because the thing about it is this. We have adopted this mentality, right, to think that, that the things that are outside of us, right, are greater than what we have that's going on inside.
Exactly.
You
We value what's external to us as opposed to what's internal.
But that's been the fight, because I
Yeah.
run for myself. When I look at people that struggle in addiction, they are running from themselves. They're using external things to medicate what is going on the inside. I've helped transform so many people's lives by just having them look in the mirror. That's it. There, look at it. And once they look at it, now their minds are like, wow, I didn't realize that the reason why I act like this is because of what I went through 20 years ago that I didn't learn from. Is evolved into this and to that, right? So when we look at manhood, right? Manhood is a process of experiences that you have learned, developed, grew, and mastered to be able to teach the next generation about how to be greater than you were. That's manhood. And it's the same definition applied to womanhood.
That's right.
If you are struggling with things that are 15, 20 years old, right? That means you are struggling in your man or womanhood. So how can you teach your children about being greater when you aren't being greater? It comes back to self.
Baba, let me ask you a question. And going back to the overly emotional males, you mentioned, basically single motherhood. Would you say that foods have, and you also mentioned like celebrities influence music. Do you think that food has anything to do with that? Also, I know that Baba Emotep has talked about how a lot of these young boys have been touched and they're struggling, so when they go out, you see that aggression and they just, they feel like they have something to prove all the time because they may have been touched, they may have been, sexually violated, like he said that, and they don't know how to just talk about it, and so it comes out in different ways. So do you think it's other factors that contribute to males being overly emotional and doing things like, unaliving themselves, unaliving, people around them? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is this, is that, there's no such thing as, I say this all the time, and there's no such thing as a difficult person. There's always somebody going through something difficult, right? Because I've dealt with people that most people would say throw away that I've been able to reach. I was one of those people. I was, when Baba Emotep first, he'll tell you, I was like, I didn't care. I put my hands on you. I stab you up. I shoot you in your face. I didn't care. That's how I was. But he was able to see that wasn't who I was supposed to be, right? I've dealt with so many people, and I realized that the emotional issue is us cutting off natural emotional things because we've been hurt. So boys have been hurt, men have been hurt. They have not healed from it, right? I remember a brother I was locked up with, right? Because I always deal with stories, because stories create the greatest picture, right?
Absolutely.
And I was dealing with this brother, and I was building with him, and I had him reading books, and I gave him the ISIS papers, and he looked at it, and he was like, "Yo, this is written by a woman?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't want to read this, man. And a woman can't teach me nothing." He threw the book back. I said, "All right." I said, "I got a book for you." I went in there, and I took the cover off the ISIS papers and gave it to him. He read the book, came back. So this dude Francis on it. I said, "It's a woman, man." And he looked at me like, "What?" I said, it's a woman. It's a woman. And it messed him up. And he was like, he came to me and got every book that I had on that a woman wrote. He came and got it. He got Angela Davis. He got Asada Shakur. He just kept, and he was like, and the reason why we sat and have a conversation, he said his mother used to beat him so bad because he looked like his father. So the way he internalized it, right, is that he put the face of his mother on every woman. And I had to be able to reach him and show him that your mother is not every woman, and every woman is not your mother. People are struggling emotionally because they have not learned from the experiences they've gone through, right? When we have great experiences, we have great feelings. Absolutely. When we have bad experiences, we have bad feelings. Maya Angelou said, "I may forget what you do and say, but I never forget how it made me feel."
Come on.
Right? So the reason why people respond, react, and do the things that they do is because of how they feel, where they at internally.
That's right.
Right? What's going on inside, right? So we got to be able to take that out. And that's what battle surgery was about. Like everything in this book I did to help transform myself to be the man I am. Right? I remember I used to walk around with the book in my pocket, just writing notes. And Baba Emotep, the one that started calling me that. He said, "Well, I see you at battle. Look at you. What you over there doing, surgery?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I will always create these concepts that help free my mind. You feel what I'm saying? And it evolved from that because I had a man that was willing to speak life into me. Some of these young boys don't have nobody to, because all they want to do is use them.
Yeah.
All they want to do is use them. You feel what I'm saying? The thing about it is the biggest dude, is always trying to be the smallest dude in the room. If you notice that. The biggest and the darkest of us always trying to be the smallest in the room. And it's because nobody has made them feel comfortable with who they are, because the way they respond to them and how I react to them. I'm the one that walks up to them. Like, how you doing? What's your name? That's what I do. You feel what I'm saying? Because I see a warrior, and we've had some of them warriors in the camp where I've sat there and I've talked to them, and I see that for real, they got a great heart, but they're afraid of themselves because of how other people interact with them. So a lot of these young guys, they struggle because every time that they try to do something different, they're rejected. They're rejected because a person only sees the reaction of the emotional distraught that's going on with them, and can't see that this person is going through something difficult and they're not difficult. So I seek to understand. I don't come to a person with an opinion about them. I come to ask a question so I can be able to receive where they at. And now I can interact with them properly. Right. And that's how you help males transform into men. And any brother that ever been around me know that I've always been the same person from the first day they met me till now. Since I've been on this path, I can't be anything else. I know this more than anything, right? Men are lacking consistency from authentic men. That's what they're lacking. They're lacking consistency, because as soon as you feel comfortable about opening up, you get burnt.
That's a fact, Baba.
Right? And that's not just men, that's women too.
Absolutely.
Burnt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was hard. I remember it took me 2 years one time to get this brother to come to study class. Every time I seen him on the walk, I would talk to him. I would give him stuff to read, and I just keep talking to him. It took me 2 years. After 2 years, he was like, man, I'm ready. He said, I believe in you now. It took 2 years because of the hurt and damage that he was through, right? But how hard are we willing to fight to build the relationships to restore our people? That's the question. We give up too fast. We're like, I'm done, man. I ain't got time for it. We move on, and you can't build anything if it don't happen, right then and there. You got to put time and you got to put work in.
Absolutely.
You got people that have been like, most of us have never had a genuine person in our lives. And I've had some men like that have sat in front of me, right? And it's like, Adisa, I believe in you, but I don't trust nobody else. And it's because of what they've been through, Like my son, like Baba say all the time, but my son is in a greater place than I was when I was his age.
Absolutely.
When I have the boys in the camp, this is the thing I tell them. I said, your job is to be stronger than me. And they look at me like, what? I said, no. I said, when you're at 42, I'm 42. When you're at 42, you got to be a greater version than I am at 42. You feel what I'm saying? That means that if you're 15 right now, you got to be a greater version of me when I was 15. That's how you evolve the people.
Ashe.
It's not about, at the end of the day, I can't start and end with me. It has to be a continuation. That means that they have to elevate past me, because that's the legacy, right? That's how you create greatness. That's how you restore a nation of people. You don't right now, if we had a BB-48 right now, we had our own nation, well, we're not ready. We'll kill each other.
Come on, what you saying?
We'll kill each other because we're not ready, because we have not done the work. And the reality is this, right? This generation is not ready for liberation. But the next one and the next one, if we do the work now, may be ready.
Yeah.
And that has to be the mentality. The mentality is, I'm doing this, for the future of our people. That means that I might not even be in the picture when it actually happens. But the sacrifice and the dedication that I'm going to give towards this, it was all worth it. It was all worth it, because you got to realize Harriet Tubman didn't know. She just like, in her mind, she was like, I'm just going to follow what's right. My spirit is telling me to do this. Facts. Now Turner was like, man, we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. Right. And then the reality is they have been immortalized, and their legacy is a continuation of the work that we need to do. That's what it is. That's history. That's our history. It's the continuation of the work.
Ashe.
Not recognizing Europeans and taking on their titles and definitions and terms and ideologies. No.
Facts.
Because those people, that gave their life for the advancement of us, they were thinking and feeling African. That's what they were doing. They were thinking and feeling African. You know, they might not have had all of the quick words that we have today, but they knew in their spirit, right, that this needed to be done in order to create some type of change. And they didn't care if they were going to lose their life in the process. They said, I'm going to commit. And that's what it is. We do not have the level of commitment that we need to advance. And that's the reason why when our children look at us, they turn out the way that they do.
Baba Shania said this. She said, I started watching Dr. Mott on YouTube when I was 19. She said, I'm now 24 and I think it's gotten worse. She said, the whole social media and these phones have on the growth and expansion of our people is sad. So I want to ask you this, Baba Adisa. What do you think the magnitude of the influence that social media has on masculinity, the definition of masculinity?
Oh, it's cute. Males want to be cute. These little dudes want to be cute. That's what it is. They want to be cute. They want to be recognized for all of these little other things, but they don't want to be recognized for their intelligence, their heart, or their spirit, because they have deemed that as not being valuable, right? So when I look at social media, like my social media page has been up since 2018, right? And everything that's on my page is geared towards the advancement, growth, and development of us. I don't put anything up that creates a false narrative. I push what we need to be able to recognize, right? And right now, it's a sleeping pill. Social media is a sleeping pill. It keeps the woke people preoccupied. It keeps the sleep people asleep. It keeps the dumb, deaf, and blind, you feel what I'm saying, lost. That's what it's designed for. It wasn't designed. Now people have used it to make money, right? But we are nowhere near in a greater position. Like you go back, for example, we had a greater position. When we were before civil rights, we had a greater position of unity then than we do now.
Oh, absolutely, Bobby.
Because the oppression was so overt that we couldn't escape it, right? And our people could see the reality that if we don't do this, we're not going to make it. Today, we stay in these small little areas where we try to stay safe. And every now and then, we get a glimpse of the monster's face, but then we get rocked back to sleep, with all of these distractions and things like that. So we become preoccupied. And it's a sickness, because when we look at the level of men in society, real men are too far spread thin, right? Like me, I came home in 2018 and I've been building ever since, married, family, career, multiple different little hustles, been doing the work. But I never allow certain things that get in the way of what my purpose is. My purpose is to advance us as a people, right? So when I look at social media pages, I'm looking at people, because that's a part of your mind. You allow me to see a part of your thinking, your interests, your likes, your dislikes, all of that. I get to see all that when I jump on there, right?
That's right.
But when I look at it, then I say to people, if you want to be better, you got to work on yourself. Not when you're on live, not when you're in class or whatever. It's the small time that you do working on things. You feel what I'm saying? Like me, I want to utilize everything that I have at my disposal to advance us, right? Like that's why I started to get. I'm gonna need to put some music out there. I need some quality of music to come out there that can be able to liberate the minds, and because what's out there is not right. And the thing about it, I'm like, all right, I'm putting books out, music, poetry, I'm doing lectures, I'm doing all of these different things, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do, right? We need to be able to expose, our enemies for what they are. But at the same time, we got to deal with our own people first, because the reality is that they ain't got to do nothing. We do it to ourselves. You know, so we have to wake up the minds of the people, right? And that takes us being able to support the things that's going on. Like right now, you should have over 1 million people watching this right now, because the level of consciousness and the level of thought that's in what we're talking about right now, everybody that looks like us needs to be on here listening to this.
You
know, but we have been turned into, the value is violence, sex,
yeah, money,
you know what I'm saying? And the material. That's it.
Yeah, material.
If we're not pushing that, it's not going to get their attention.
You're not in the algorithm. If you're not pushing that type of stuff, you're not, if you're not pushing that type of stuff, they're not going to put you in the algorithm. Like you said, it got to be, sex, money, drugs, murder, that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like Baba, like that type of stuff is in the algorithm, and things like this is just not in the algorithm. And for me, Baba, and I remember there was some folks, and I'm not going to call their names. They said, Dr. Ma'at, you need to add a ninja factor to your show. And you know what I mean by ninja. You need to add a ninja factor to your show. You add a ninja factor to your show, Doc, I'm telling you, your stuff will blow, man. You just got to get some people arguing, get some stuff. I said, I'm not doing that. Now, I'll have some debates, and sometimes the debates get a little crazy, but I'm not going to purposely add that element. You get what I'm saying, Baba, for views. It's like people are like literally selling their souls, throwing it, casting aside their values and their principles for views, for likes, for comments. And I said, no. I said, I'm good. I'll keep on rocking with the people that's rocking with me. Baba Imhotep said this. He said, men rear men. He said, wherever there's no men, boys suffer. They do not develop adequately. They become maladapted and maladjusted. Yeah, I had to leave that up there, Baba, for a second. I had to leave that up there for a second. Shout out to Baba. Shout out to Baba Imhotep. So I want to close with this, Baba Adisa. Could you explain or describe to us what healthy manhood looks like? Because we know we know what unhealthy manhood looks like, right? Because we see it. We see it on social media. We see it inside our families. We see it within our communities, on our jobs. So what does healthy manhood, what does healthy masculinity look like?
So healthy masculinity looks like this. It looks like the warrior who bends down to the Watoto to talk to him at eye level. It looks like the warrior that puts his body to the street when he's walking with his family. It looks like the warrior that battles himself to be a greater image and light for those who see him. Masculinity is security. When I'm around my family, they feel covered. When I'm around my comrades, they know they're safe. It's crazy. We'll be at events, and a lot of the brothers will come up to me, and they'll be like, man, every time you here, man, I feel safe, man. I appreciate you and everything that you do. And,
I feel safe. I think I shared that with you. I think I told you that, Baba Adisa. Like I ain't got to come in strapped.
Yeah,
I ain't got to come in packing when I know you around. Seriously, I don't have to come in there. You know, my cousin Will, he'll tell you how I roll. But when I'm around you all, I don't feel like that. You know.
But that's the level of security, right? That is, men don't strike fear, right? Like I've been in positions in my life where I've reached people that people had given up on, and I'm like, no. I said, we gotta. And that relationship has grown into something where as though that I can get on the phone right now and they're going to show up. They there, right? And it's because of the care and consideration, right? And males struggle with connection. Men seek out the connections. You understand what I'm saying? A male will run from accountability, as a man looks at it as honor. Being accountable to me is an honorable thing, because it means that I'm important and that I'm needed, right? And that's what we're struggling with. We're struggling with the proper definitions, but it's not about the words, it's about the actualization, because what we see on a consistent basis creates the narrative, right? when there's no men in the environment, a man isn't relevant because a man isn't seen, right? But when the men are consistent in an environment, males don't feel comfortable with being immature or being males. So now they have to make a decision. Either I'm going to grow towards the character standard, or I'm going to vacate the premises. You know, and that has to be the standard, right? I got people that come up to me, and when they talk to me, when they around their homeboys, they saying all they get around me is yes, sir, no cussing, this, that, because I have set the standard, I mean, that they have accepted, right? And that's how I know that change is possible, because the one thing about a man is a man creates a standard that people respect. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about a threatening thing. It's about a consistent thing, right? Because consistency creates relevance to any reality. If you step into an environment, I mean, I've always been honest as long as you ever known me, that's what you expect. You feel what I'm saying? And if anybody speaks against that individual that's always been honest, I ain't even got to say nothing. They're going to come to the aid and defend it. Because I've created something that's real. It's tangible. I can touch it. I know it's real because it's always been there. And it's not going anywhere, right? That's the type of masculinity, right, that has to be present for people to change. People are not going to change, right, if we in there only on the weekends.
Come on,
you know what I'm saying? We weekend warriors, or we weekend men, or whatever. No, you got to be this 24/7, 365 days a year. You have to be this because people are watching and they're waiting for you to fall. They're waiting for you to fumble. And that's what I was saying earlier when we were talking. I was like, the problem is that you're going to have haters. They're gonna try to find something wrong so they don't have to do the work, right? Brothers, there's some brothers that stay away from me, not because they love me, because they feel exposed when they're around me. Because they're like, man, I can't be like this around Adisa. Because Adisa gonna be like, what's going on? You good? You all right? I'm always gonna push people towards their greatness, right? They don't feel comfortable around me because people measure themselves against each other.
Absolutely.
It's a natural human phenomenon. We do it all the time.
All the time.
When we look at a person, I mean, we measure ourselves. And we feel like we falling short. It's like either I'm going to humble myself and I'm going to submit to learn to grow, or I'm going to fall into my ego and pride, right? And I'm going to find something to justify so I can leave, so I don't have to be around it, right? There's people on here right now, right? That are agreeing to a lot of these things, right? And they love the idea of it, but they don't love the application because of the work that it takes for us to be able to build it. We got to fall in love with the action of doing it, not the ideal. We fall in love with the ideal. We fall in love with the words because they sound good when we say it, right? But the work that has to happen in order for you to make it a reality, that's what you got to fall in love with. When you fall in love with that, you're committed. You're dedicated. That means that you're going to build the relationships. You know what I'm saying? You're going to commit to the obligations. You're going to take on the accountability. You're going to be responsible, right? You're going to show up to the events no matter where they at. Where they at, you showing up. You feel what I'm saying? You're not going to sit there and make the justification and say, well, you know, they do got this Christmas party I'm supposed to go to, so I'm not going to be able to come to the Black Run. So, you know, because I don't want to disappoint them. You know, no, you're going to commit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I got family members right now upset with me because I don't celebrate certain things and do certain things. You know why? Because it's counterproductive to what we try to develop and build. And it taints the image of what you're trying to project. So when they see you in the Christmas hat, I mean, they talking about, oh, I thought Baba Adisa was a revolutionary. You know, what's going on? You feel what I'm saying? When they see me with that turkey bone in my mouth talking about, hey, you know, I'm thankful for this. They're going to look at me like, man, you phony. And they go right back to becoming a hypocrite because your revolution is situational. Revolution has to be always, 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 because that's what we're fighting for. We're trying to bring about that social change. And that's why I got the on next Saturday on the 12th, July 12th.
Bible, we gonna get into it. Bible, we about to get into it. Hold up. Let me drop a bomb. Let me drop a bomb for you first, and we're gonna get into it.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Bible was spitting that. You was spitting that hot fire. But look, hold on. Are we gonna get to that, Bible? I already had it. I already had you pulled up. I have the flyer pulled up. Let's talk about it, Baba. Next Saturday, what's going down?
So I had did a live I mean, I did a podcast on male versus man, and it got a lot of flack because people was like, "Dag," a lot of guys feel like their toes were stepped on because I gave the description of what a male is and what a man is from every angle you possibly can give, and a lot of people felt as though they fell short when it came to being a man in certain areas. So this workshop right here is going to be addressing all that, and this is going to be a monthly thing, right? It's not going to be no one and done, because developing authentic men and authentic African-centered men takes time and dedication, right? So I'm looking for the people that's going to want to commit to wanting to have the conversation and do the work. We're going to be dealing with character development, maturity and discipline, and the importance of legacy, right? You know, the thing about it that this is PLM has been an initiative to bring about the change of the conditions of our people, right? Everything is geared towards putting us on that path back to who we are as a people, right? From our events to the race first, you know, to everything that we're doing, right? So everything we're doing is trying to be able to get our people to embrace who they are. And we need workshops that are geared towards us being able to open up them doors, because I'm going to sit there and I'm going to give it to you. And some of y'all might feel like your toes get stepped on, right? But your toes only got stepped on because some truth hit you. You feel what I'm saying? You know, when you feel like that seat getting hot and you got to get up and run out the door, that means that African-centered knowledge, right, is hitting that white thought. You feel what I'm saying? It's challenging you, right? And the thing is, we're afraid to step towards who we're supposed to be because some of us do not have success in new experiences. All we know is the same old, right? You got people who have been moving the same way for the last 20 years. Yeah. I wonder why it ain't making nowhere. And it's because you're afraid to be able to step fully into what could possibly be. And that's what we're going to be doing at this Manhood workshop. We need to deal with these things. We need to have these conversations, and we need to address certain things so we can grow and move forward, right? It's not going to be for the weak. It's going to be for those who really want to work on themselves to be better men. And you know where you're struggling at. I don't have to say it. You know, you have better access to your own mind and your own experiences. So if you want to grow, come out. It's going to be on July the 12th. It's going to be from 10 to 12 o'clock, right? 2-hour session, sit down workshop. It's going to be handouts. I'm going to have my books out there for sale and some other stuff. And it's at it's a black-owned bookstore, right? The sister got a bookstore on Greenmount, all black-owned. She do a lot of community work and a lot of stuff. You know, come down, support, be there, right? We got to do this work, and we have to be consistent with doing this work, right? Okay. That's why I say it's going to be monthly. It's going to be every month we're going to get together. And I am going to work on doing some Zooms for the people that, that's not in Baltimore. That's people that, that's in other states and stuff like that. They want to be able to do it. We got to get this going. We got to get it going, you know?
Yeah, and I see the topics. I see character development. It says maturity and discipline and the importance of legacy. And so Baba, let me ask you this. Where can people get your books? It may be somebody watching that's saying, hey, I want to grab a book. I want to grab, Battle Surgery. I want to grab The Juggernaut in the Struggle. Where can they find you to get your books?
You can hit me on my social media outlet. Amazon always taking a high percentage, of the books.
Always.
So, you can hit me on either on Facebook, or you can hit me on IG. On IG, I'm at actionfigureyo. You can hit me on there, actionfigureyo. On Facebook, it is William Adisa Dempsey. You can hit me on that. Yeah, like I said, I'm not hard to meet. And for y'all in Baltimore, I'm easy to get up with. And we can go ahead and we can get some stuff mailed out and all that. But if you're too far out or whatever, they are on Amazon. They are on Amazon, right? But Amazon takes a large percentage, of the books. And I'm about to drop my third book is about to come out soon too.
Someone said, so one of the moderators, Tiffany, said, is there a live stream option? She said, is there a live stream option, Baba Adisa?
So what I'm going to do is it's going to be recorded. I'm going to try to look in. It's going to be recorded, pre-recorded, or I'm going to try to do a live stream. But the thing is, I want to be able to get the information as well as the interaction out there, because men need to see men doing work so they can feel comfortable with being around men doing the work.
Absolutely. And Sister Marcy Appendix said, yes, Zoom, she said, will be important for men who don't live in Maryland. This sister got, men, she got husband and, sons and, people in the neighborhood. They're in North Carolina, though. You see what I'm saying? So, and she supports. But like you said, Zoom would be, Zoom or live stream option, Bible would be hot if somebody could like live stream it for the people who can't, physically be here.
Yeah, I'll definitely
Absolutely.
take care of that.
Absolutely. And someone said this, Donette Mitchell said that would be great to have it virtual. She said virtual workshops. Let me ask you a question, Baba, before we head out of here. So the workshops, we know that you're focusing on manhood. Are the sisters allowed to view, watch, and like, sit in if they wanted to come? Because I even buy books like Manhood in Black and White, African Manhood in the 21st Century, Visions for Black Men. I read those type of books to have like a standard of, framework. Of course, in addition to the Men in My Village, it's nice to have, a framework or a standard that you can reference and you can compare against and say, well, wait a minute, this is how it's supposed to be and not this. So I think some of this stuff would be, great for the sisters to digest as well, so they know the difference between a male and a man. So are the sisters welcome, or do you want it to be exclusively for men? How do you feel about that?
Whatever's going to be posted video wise, yes, it'll be for the women. But while we're in this workshop, I need the brothers to be focused. I don't need to have the sisters up in there smelling good, looking good, and all that. I need them to be focused, because the one thing about it is that men need to be in a space where they can feel comfortable with being able to be vulnerable, right? And when women are around, they sometimes, they don't keep it 100, right?
That's true. That's
just
true.
being honest, right? But I'm not saying, that I have some workshops in the future that I'm going to do that's going to be geared towards the measurement of a man's heart. And it's going to be a workshop that's going to be for the men. And then it's going to be the measurement of a woman's heart, not done by me, but it's going to be done, by a mama, that is versed to be able to do that for the women. And then we're going to have the men and women come together and do the workshop together for growth and development, right? So the thing is that we have to create the spaces that people can grow in the best. And when it comes to manhood training, like, I need the men to be focused. I need them to be focused. I need to be zeroed in.
Yeah, the sisters say they understand. The sisters in the chat, they like, right. The sisters in the chat, they was like, we don't need to be there. Sister Nikki was like, we don't need to be there. And the sisters said, understood. You're right. Understood. Well, Baba, I want to thank you for coming here. You was cooking tonight. Let him cook. That's what they say. Let him cook. He cooking. You was cooking tonight. What they say? He ate. You ate tonight, Baba. I'm just talking like the young folks. You did, Baba. You did your thing tonight. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this good knowledge. Family, Baba, what I want you to do is like send me the information you want me to put. I can put it in the description of this video to make sure that people can access your books. Sister Marcy Appendix said that she grabbed some books off of Baba Emotep's online bookstore. She said maybe you could put these books in there. So you talk to Baba about getting these books in there so that so people can access it from the online bookstore as well. Baba, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
Yeah, I do. I know that you wanted to say something about the music, so I know we got time issues or whatever, but I want to say this. When you look at your life, you got to ask yourself, if you are not where you want to be, what are you willing to do to get where you want to be? Right? Everything comes back to self. I did this work because somebody believed in me. Right? And because that belief in me put me in a position where I'm at, I am given the honor to be able to give to others, right? If you do what you need to do right by you, you're automatically going to do right by your people. You feel what I'm saying? So when we're measuring ourselves, right? What are we measuring ourselves by? Are we measuring ourselves by the standard of this society? Or are we measuring ourselves by the standard, of our authentic African-centered society? We got to have a measurement, because when you look at one's ideology, it has to be rooted in something, right?
You got to be rooted in something.
When it's rooted in what we are as a people, we'll always do what's best for us as a people.
Ashe, Baba. Thank you so much, Baba, for coming in. I see you in a few, Baba. Baba, you know I gotta play that outro. You know you're gonna be my outro. So family, I'm gonna play one. Oh yeah, Baba, the music. When are you dropping the album? When are you dropping this album?
So I talked to Tiami about it. So she want me to take it and just drop a song every day until I got the whole album out. That's gonna be on YouTube. So
Okay.
I got some nice stuff. Yeah, and I thought you was gonna play the intro that I sent you.
Not yet. I got some things cooking for that. I got some visuals I'm putting with that.
Okay,
I'm gonna switch the whole thing up and that's going to be my new intro. But I want to put like, clips of me talking and doing certain things and then bring it in. You know what I mean? Like, so for example, look at this, Baba. Let me show you. Family, don't go nowhere. I just want to show him this. Let me go here. So notice in my intro, Baba, that I have visuals with it, right? See, look.
Right. Let's combat and fight back with maltracks. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses and common core.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I have like some slick visuals with it. That's all. Okay. It's coming though, Baba. It's definitely coming. Okay. So when can we anticipate you dropping this album? A couple of months, a month? What do you think? Before the summer's out?
Yeah, I'm thinking about August. Like I'm looking at August, Black August.
Okay.
So I'll drop it in Black August. I got some anthem stuff. I got some PLM stuff that I put together. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop it. But it's just because I've been writing for a long time. I've been writing, since I was a teenager. But I really never put anything out there because
Bob is fire.
Yeah. So, but I'm definitely gonna put it out. August is when it's gonna come out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give a sample. I'm gonna drop a sample on YouTube, and then the rest of them I'm gonna start them in August, and I'm gonna drop one probably every day of August.
Okay. All right, Baba. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on, Baba. Peace and love. A BB for Hodier. Race first.
Race first.
Ashe. Family. So you heard from our Baba Adisa, man. He's a warrior for our people. You heard him cook. He dropped so many jewels. Family, make sure that you grab these books, okay? Grab his books, all right? Grab his books, okay? Because an hour and a half, hour, 15 minutes, that's not enough time to really unpack a lot of stuff that we wanted to unpack, but you can unpack more by grabbing his books. I'm going to make sure that I get the information to put it in the description of this video. Family, before you get out of here, it's a few things I want to say. One, make sure that you head on over to consciousingenuity.org to take advantage of these youth empowerment programs, family. I'm going to throw the link in the chat. I'm also going to put the URL on the screen. Family, make sure that you head on over to consciousingenuity.org to take advantage of these youth empowerment programs. We have Conscious Ingenuity, which utilizes science, technology, engineering, art, agriculture, and mathematics to build character, confidence, and capabilities, family. We also have the virtual UACI STEM camp, where our children are learning the fundamentals of coding and foundational concepts in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cybersecurity. We also have the ASAFO training camp and a Goji camp, where our children learn critical thinking, physical fitness, life skills, character development, cultural enrichment, and more. Family, all of these programs are free. Dr. Mahad is not asking for 5 cents from you. All of them are free. So simply come on over here and get your children registered in one or more of these programs. All right, family, I gotta play the outro for you. I gotta play this outro. This is Baba Adisa. I was telling you all earlier that, man, this outro, I listen to this when I'm trying to jog up a hill, man. It's so inspiring. But here we go, family, and you'll see exactly why I asked him, what's up with your music? What's up with your music? But family, I'll be live again next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Before you get out of here tonight, family, thumb up this video. Thumb it up. And also share this video. We want to each one teach one. And an easy way to do that in 2025 is sharing this discussion. So share it on your social media platforms. Take the link, drop it in your family group chat, your friends group chat, etc. All right. Peace and Black African excellence. Let me make sure the volume is up on this, man. I want to blast this one.
Right beside the darts of the plan. Who stole that made an art of the man. The new knowledge of power. My boy prayer. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroying lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. I found the truth and I'm not letting go. Frederick Douglass and Booker T found power. Nat Turner found truth in his darkest hour. Mama Harriet set us free and stood for we. In these pages I found power in our history. UEP birthed the Panther in me. In me, never let a fascist pig carry me, not me. Revolutionary thoughts, all I read. Normal for my soul, keep my spirit on high. Revolutionary thought is always on the rise. Yeah, is always on the rise. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us, our problems was them. Them being the ones who robbed and took us, kings and queens, nation builders. From stolen legacy to Anthony Browder, building institutions with black knowledge. Build black libraries for black scholars, building black minds, urban philosophy, urban black reads every one place. Black owned bookstores, we support your space. To all black authors, we give much thanks. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Ooh. Knowledge is power, a power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge.